formalities, and to lead us in an invocation, we have our district governor-elect, Mr. Getting Ready Every Day, Mr. John Mosher. John?
Okay, thank you very much. If you would please pray with me. Father, it is in this times like this that you call upon those who can and will serve to respond to those in need. Father, we, Rotary, are here. Give us the strength, courage, and wisdom to meet these challenges. Bless our efforts and our activities, and bless your servants. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, John. To lead us in our four-way pledge, we have the president of Greenville, Katie Ridge, and I needed to check to see if she's in there. She is. She's on here. So, Katie, if you will lead us in the pledge, please.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America
and to the republic
for
which stands
one nation,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice
for all.
I feel like, thank you, Katie, so much. I feel like we're at a stadium. You know how they have that stadium echo? I think that's what we're experiencing tonight. To lead us through the four-way pledge, I've asked Patrick Garcia, who is the president of Allen Sunrise, to please lead us through the four-way test. Patrick?
Everyone will join me. Of the things we think, say, or do, the four-way test. Is it the truth?
this is the truth.
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Rotary.
Woo. Thank you very much, Patrick. You know, never has the four-way test been a better guideline than during this time when we've needed to reach out. We all want to know the truth about the conditions that we're experiencing. But is it fair to all concerned? And will it lead to goodwill and better friendships? That's what staying in place and being as creative as we've done. I applaud each and every Rotarian in 5810 for keeping that Rotary spirit alive. You all have done amazingly with your club meetings, with the service projects that you've done. We've had more outreach because of the COVID pandemic than probably we would have if we had just had a normal year, because never have we had 2 rounds of grants. And we opened up extra money that we had and were able to help out with our food distribution. We've helped Parkland Hospital, and it's all because of things that you all have done. So you have set the pace for 2020 to end strongly. You've invited your new members. You've invited lots of guests during this time, and we need to continue to use technology to keep those trends going. And I know that that's part of the things that perhaps Susie's going to be visiting with us on as we can grow. So I'm so proud of 5810, what we've done. I feel like, you know, our first reaction, I have to tell you, the first reaction was, oh my goodness, we're going to lose members. You know what? We have a chance to gain members because of this. Millennials love the technology, and we've all wanted to reach out to younger folks, but it's also folks that can't get out for the day, can't get away from the office. They can dial in for an hour. They can eat at their desk. They can not have travel time because of where the club meets. It always is a traffic problem, so they can't go that day. But we can find ways to make this work. So I am extremely excited about the possibilities that we've had with all of this. So just to remind you, I know we have a lot going on in the district. I'm not going to go through our whole calendar, but I am going to take advantage of reminding you of Installments 2 and Installments 3. One of our participants for Installment 2 is with us tonight. Chuck Eisman has served on WASH for quite a while, our water, sanitation and hygiene action group that is just an amazing group. And he is going to take over chairmanship of that. We are very proud to have him do that. So can't think of a timelier topic with COVID-19 than to be talking about WASH. And then also that day, we're going to have Darren Collins from the DeSoto Club by way of Kenya. He is over in Kenya doing a work for Hands Up, which is our AIDS education through puppets. But the Kenyan Minister of Health asked him to produce a small commercial for kids to convey the importance of hand washing and sanitation. Couldn't be more important with COVID because they don't have the same advantages that we do in the United States, and we're being hit hard. Well, he did that for them, and it was so popular that UNICEF and UNESCO is now wanting to partner with them. And so we're asking other districts to see if they want to go in on a global grant so that we can have worldwide distribution. So I'm so excited about that and that effort, and Darren's going to share that with us. So next time is all about water, sanitation, and hygiene. So you'll want to be here for May 27th, same time, same Zoom channel. And then also, lastly, our last installment, we will feature our Secretary General, John Howe, who will tell us a little bit about not only a post-pandemic Rotary as he sees it, and also he will tell us a little bit about legacy giving. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 with Mr. Howe. And I know you won't want to miss that opportunity. That's another thing that technology allowed us to do, is to have some very powerful speakers without the expense or the planning that we've always had to have. So again, another example of utilizing technology to our advantage. So I want to introduce our speaker to you tonight, Suzie Howe. Her new title is, I guess you're still Director-elect till July 1, is that correct, Suzie? Okay. Her new title will be, or right now, it's Director-elect of Rotary International for our zone, and our zone and our paired zone. But Suzie has been in Rotary so many years and given so much that I don't even have time. I'd use our whole Zoom time going through her resume, but just a couple of highlights. She has been our Regional Rotary Foundation Coordinator. She has been at the forefront of so many of our, I'm sorry for the background noise, guys. She's been at the forefront of so many of our pilots and policies, and always there to volunteer Houston for doing that. And so we're so excited about that. Suzie in her career was president of South Shore Montessori. And when she retired from that, she went 100%, which I don't think was possible. I guess it was 120% when she retired, to go 120% Rotary. And so we are so thrilled that she is sharing with us her views of her very first board meeting as one of our new directors. And we are thrilled to have her. Oh, by the way, there's a couple of 5810 connections with Suzie. The first one was last year. I don't know if Robert Yudkin has made it on here tonight. He's coming, but he said he was going to be a little late. He invited Suzie to their trip to the Guerrero Eye Clinic, and she saw firsthand the good work that Addison and so many other of the clubs are doing there. So Suzie, we appreciated that hand of friendship and that support. Suzie and I first met when we did a Train the Trainer for Really down in Houston. And I will share with you the impact it had on me, because Suzie was probably going to be our toughest critic. And we were all knew that she had high standards, and boy, we wanted to do a great job because we wanted Houston to join us on that journey. And Suzie was wearing a star Rotary pin. And you know how I am about stars, guys. And so I said, gosh, I love your pin. I've never seen that. She said, thank you. So I did my part. The other facilitators did their part. After the meeting, she walked up to me and said, you've earned this. And she gave me her star. Now, the reason that's important is it comes full circle, because We are bringing back the Star Award for every club who will name one valuable, their MVP, their star performer for the year. And we'll be giving those out at the July 18th awards ceremony. And so I purchased a star for every Rotarian who wins that award this year. So Suzie, you continue to inspire us, and we look so forward to your great leadership. Suzie, the floor is yours. Thank you. Please help me welcome our silent applause here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Beverly.
Shirley, and if y'all will mute. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beverly. Yes, I did wear my star pin tonight just for you. I knew that you would appreciate that. And to start, I see so many friends, so many PDGs I've worked with together with y'all. Assistant Governor's on here. I see Jubilant George is on here. So to commemorate the evening, what I would like to do is to take a selfie. So if you don't have your video on, now would be the time to turn it on, because I'm going to go through and take pictures of each screen. That's the first one. And then I'm going to scroll over to the second one. And then the next one. Oh, good. Thank you, LB. I saw you waving at me. And there's the third one. Oh, this is great. Yes, y'all are cutting up, I can see. So if during and there's, I just see all your PDGs on here. This is great. So during this, if you would like to also take selfies so you can post them tomorrow or this evening on your Facebook page, that would be great. My background I will start with is Rotary's on Fire, because that is the theme of our Zone Institute, which is in September. And yes, we've gone virtual. I thought I would start with a couple of board announcements. Let me pull that page first. Rotary board meetings are something else. I got to attend the one in Backbench in January, and that was fun, in Evanston. The one in April wasn't fun. It was all Zoom. We signed in the first day on Tuesday for a 2-hour Zoom meeting that ended in about 15 minutes because it wasn't Zoom. It was a new platform called Kudo. Raise your hand, your own hand, if you've ever used Kudo. Okay, it can be great because you can translate, interpreters can use it instant simultaneous translation, and it's a great platform, but not for as many people as we had on. So that was something else. Second day, we went back to Zoom, but all of us who weren't yet directors had no face and no voice. And we couldn't really multitask because there was so much going on that I wanted to pay attention and know exactly what the decisions were. The decision, so that was Tuesday, nothing. Wednesday, we went to 3 hours, Thursday, 3 hours, 5 hours on Friday, but we had to get a board vote because there were people from Japan and Korea, and it was going to be 3 in the morning. Can you imagine being at a board meeting for 5 hours? I've studied Zoom fatigue, and I'm sure many of you have felt it, where your mind just quits working at a certain point. So it was very interesting. I understand we're going to have Zoom board meetings for the rest of this year. There's no Rotary travel for the rest of 2020. And so hopefully we will work out some of those kinks and we won't have the problems that we had at the April board meeting. But a couple of the things I thought I would mention to you are that our regional training, many of you are involved in regional training, it will be virtual instead of going to Round Rock or Pflugerville. That will be virtual. If you were a coordinator, a regional leader, and you were going to Des Moines, that will be virtual. Our Zoom Institute will be virtual. Pretty much everything we're doing until December is virtual. We've encouraged, Rotary leadership has encouraged governors to do virtual tours, club visits, anything that they can do online. And it's truly interesting because this all dovetails into Rotary's strategic plan. You remember the strategic plan for Rotary, I'm sure y'all are up to date. impact, reach, engagement, and adapt. Those 4 points, we've already got the Rotary citation for this year because we've done all of that going to these virtual meetings. And I understand many new clubs that are starting up will be virtual. E-clubs, they may meet in person one week, social 1 week. So think about the impact that this has had on what we are doing in Rotary. No one will be forced to go to a meeting, and your governor-elect, let's see, John would be in place, so that would be Max. I saw Max on here. If enough people cannot come into our country for the International Assembly in Orlando in February, then even that training would be virtual in February. So a lot of this is affected by international travel. But this is a great opportunity for y'all to develop a new kind of leadership. And some of you may have heard this story in part, but I'm going to give you a little longer version of how my leadership came about. Before I was governor in 2005, we had Hurricane Katrina. And when Hurricane Katrina was coming into the Texas Gulf Coast, I was invited to go down to the Astrodome and receive a couple hundred shelter boxes. You know, the big green box with the tent and all the supplies that are needed to sustain a family for a couple of months. So I said, sure, no problem. I drove up to the Astrodome. I live in Friendswood, about an hour south. And I drove up there and I went into the main floor and they said, what are you here for? And I said, Rotary, because I had on my Rotary shirt, my Rotary pen. And they said, oh, just go straight on up to the second floor to logistics. And when you are there, you'll meet somebody that has is waiting for the shelter boxes to arrive, and you just take possession of them and we'll figure out what to do. So I went up the escalators to the second floor, outside of, in a gathering area, I met a gentleman from Shelter Box and he said, yes, I'm waiting for like 200 shelter boxes to come in and I have to get back to Florida, but Suze, you can wait here and when the boxes come in, something will happen and we'll know what to do with them. He said, but whatever you do, don't go through those 2 doors. And I took that for about 2 seconds. And I went through those 2 doors. And those 2 doors led right into logistics for all of the Katrina relief in Harris County and the city of Houston. In logistics was the chief of police, the head of the fire department, the head of FEMA, Red Cross. Everybody had a seat at the table in logistics. And when I went through those 2 doors, Rotary had a seat at the table. During the 3.5 weeks that I was there, over 200,000 evacuees came in from New Orleans. And you remember the pictures of the cots on the floor of the Astrodome, right next to each other, families all right together. During that time, there were over 650 Rotarian volunteers. And what happened was, anybody who was in a Rotary shirt, Rotary cap, Rotary pen, when they got to the Astrodome, to the Reliance Center, they would say, you don't have to go through the training or the screening. They would send you right up to the second floor to me and my group to get an assignment. So Rotarians, just by their reputation, were sent up to logistics. And during that time, it was an unbelievable time. I personally took a phone call for 1 million meals. I took a phone call for 3 747s. Raise your hand if you have ever received 1 million meals and 3 747s. Yeah. So every day Rotarians would come and they might not get a job related to their profession, but they would do whatever was asked. So we would try to match them to the jobs that were coming available. Like someone would say, we need a dozen golf carts to come down from Humble. Who can do that? I'd look around, my team would look around, they'd say, so-and-so, go up to Intercontinental, pick up a dozen golf carts and bring them down so we can get people moving around the Astrodome. The jobs were unbelievable. Rotarians came in, they did whatever was asked. We went back for 3.5 weeks. I went there every day for 3.5 weeks. Sometimes I would go to my school first, and then I would run up to the Astrodome, but usually I tried to be there at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. for the shift changes so I could hear what the police were saying, what the metro was saying, so that we would have a better idea of how to answer questions as the calls came in. So one day I was at my school and I said to my students, I had elementary students at that time, I said, so who exactly is Ricky Martin? And my students just laughed at me. They all knew who Ricky Martin was, but he had come in to thank us, and he was on site like many of the celebrities that came through, but my students just thought that was so cool. Miss Howe was up there with Ricky Martin. I was honored to be asked at the end of the period to represent Rotary on the field of the Texans game. It was a real honor. I wore my Rotary cap and we appeared on TV so people could see that somebody from Rotary was there because I had on my cap. Towards the end of the 3.5 weeks, we got word that Presidents 41 and 42 were coming in and thanking people in the Astrodome for the job that they had done. And we could tell they were coming up to the second floor, and those in the military were standing much taller and much straighter and very dignified. So I'm looking around at the people in logistics waiting for these two visitors, and I'm trying to think, I need to be very succinct in what I say. It's got to be something really on point. So the two presidents, President Clinton and President Bush the elder, came inside. I walked past President Clinton and I went straight up to President Bush, and I extended my hand, and I had on my name badge and my Rotary pen. And so I see him looking down at my name badge, and I said, President Bush, Rotary is here. He looked down at my name badge and he said, Susie, you know I'm in Rotary? I said, yes, sir, you're a member of the Rotary Club of Houston. Made me so proud. He had a twinkle in his eye. It was wonderful. So as they tried to find places for the people to go in the Astrodome, because you remember Katrina was immediately followed by Hurricane Rita. I just called it Katrina Rita. It sounds like an adult beverage. So Rita was coming in, and Red Cross was going to each of the cots and saying, where can you go? Where do you have family? What are you going to do? And every night the footprint got smaller and smaller until there was a very small group left in Reliance Center. And the plan was to put all of these people that were left on buses and send them to Ellington Field. I pretty much knew, and to put them on one of those 747s and send them to Fort Chaffee, Arkansas. And I pretty much knew none of those people from New Orleans had been on a plane before. So as they were getting on the buses, I got in my car and drove down to Ellington Field, where security was questionable. You know, you go through the Intercontinental, you got all kinds of security. Ellington Field at that point, out in the tarmac, they had a lady with a wand. And then from the tarmac, from the lady with the wand, they would walk out to the stairs to get on the plane. And each person, as they came from the lady with the wand, security, I would touch them on the shoulder and say, you know, is this the first time you've been on a plane? Or have you ever been to Fort Chaffee, Arkansas? Or they're so looking forward to having you in Fort Chaffee, because these people had no place to go. They walked to get on the plane. The plane took off. We checked the tarmac, you know, walking back and forth, and there were some box cutters. The people that were left were those that didn't want to make a scene. They didn't want to be known. They had no people. They just were trying to keep low key and be safe. And they got on the plane, thank you. They got on the plane, and that was it. Didn't see them again. But I want to tell you, if you're ever in this situation, I'm highly recommending that you put on a Rotary cap. I never saw the CNN cameras. They were at least 3 miles away at the gate for Ellington. But that night, people called me and said, Suze, we saw you on CNN. Rotary was there. So your shirt is fine for some photo ops. Your pin is fine for some photo ops. But you need to carry your Rotary cap with you. It's the best prop you can have for being on CNN. So with that, I want to remind you to find good people to surround yourself with. Show up and engage those people, bring them together. Remember a personal touch. Kindness matters. Wear your colors, whether it's your hat, your shirt, your pin, and tell your story. It's not bragging if it's a fact. You can do that for the rest of this year. We don't know what's left for this year. We don't know what's going to happen exactly in July, August, and September. But you all have the opportunity to lead logistics in your clubs and your district. Show up and do what needs to be done in your club and your community and your district with others who show up and do what needs to be done. Thank you so much, Beverly, for including me today. I'm thrilled to be here with y'all.
Thank you very much, Director-elect Suzie, and I see applauses, so know that that is heartfelt applause. If you don't mind, Suzie, would you take some questions from the floor? Very
Sure.
nice, John. John put his hat on for you, Sue.
Sure. John may have heard the story before. I can't read the. Somebody's got an echo, and it might be Beverly. Beverly, can you mute yourself long enough?
Beverly, can you mute yourself long enough?
Let's see if that's it. Okay, I can't read the chat. I need someone to read the questions for me, and I would be glad to answer. So if Glenn or someone would take, someone would take that responsibility, I'd appreciate it.
Suzie, I have my hat on.
I see you, Mr. Governor Slicker.
Ask him where he got that hat.
I don't see that it's a Rotary cap.
It was a gift from the DGE.
I'm sure you're very proud.
Well, Suzie, I have a question for you. I think we all know that everybody is living in this era of transition and uncertainty with the best of intentions of what we can do. But as we look forward to our international status, one of the beauties of Rotary has been that international handshake that we feel so closely with all of our fellow Rotarians. And with the advent of not being able to travel, not being able to do international conventions, etc., how is the board looking at that international feedback and that spur that we always get when we go over to our global locations? Have they addressed that spirit at all?
A couple of things come to mind. First, if your club, make sure your club is meeting weekly by Zoom. Whatever it takes, whether it's a happy hour at 5 o'clock or you are discussing a service project, make sure that your club is meeting by Zoom. Next, if you find a club near you that isn't meeting by Zoom, invite them to participate. It's not hard. Zoom is a discount right now on Rotary Global Rewards. 45 minutes is, I think, is free to cheap, and above that you get a 20% discount. So figure out how you can get your Zoom program. Second, when you have your Zooms, think about all the people you can invite. You can invite your former exchange students, your former GSE team people, your grant people from whatever country you did it in. You know people all over the world, except that it's 3 in the morning. It is truly fun to bring on your former scholars, peace scholars, your foundation chair. I saw Owen is on here. He can find scholars for you that were paid for by your district, by your dollars. So the internationality is not challenging. You all know somebody. Unmute. Beverly, unmute.
Sorry, I want to brag on one of our clubs who had invited me to come to their meeting. And Carrollton Farmers Branch, I know Bill Bexley is on the call. There may be some other members. But they had they have a long-standing relationship with a club in Montego Bay, Jamaica. And they had, some members have met because they would go down and have club exchanges, but they had never really gotten a chance to meet all of the board, all of the folks. And so at this last meeting, they had not only a former scholar, or one of their scholars, who was studying in Germany at the time, I believe is where he was located. But they also had all of the board, the current president, the incoming president, from the Montego Bay Club join them. And it was a wonderful display of the possibilities that has. And some of the members were saying, this is the coolest meeting we've had. How international can it be? So, so to that point, Suzie, one of my clubs has already embraced that. Others I know have gotten, we've had speakers already from, you know, if the experts are over in, Robert's son was over in Israel, and he's a coronavirus expert. So all you have to do is you just call Israel. And like you say, you just kind of have to be mindful of that international clock. But he spoke to the club in Addison, Breakfast Club. So that was great. So yeah, I agree with you. It opens up new avenues. Anybody else have any questions for Suzie at all? Okay. I guess they had a little bit too much beverage and enjoying and sitting back in the easy chair. But that's okay.
I do have a question, Beverly.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Owen.
Suzie, we know that the International Convention is canceled. Tell us what the format is going to be with the Zoom International Convention. Do you have any foreknowledge of what will go on at the International Convention?
Good question.
Okay. First off, I thought I saw Jay Dean on this call. If Jay Dean from 5930 is on the call, would you unmute and take the heat off of me and answer this question?
You cut out on me real quick. I apologize.
Jay Dean, they've asked about what we're doing for the International Convention. I'd like to introduce you to Jay Dean, one of my favorite people. What is your profession, Jay Dean?
I am a prosecuting attorney in a small town, Kingsville, Texas, and I'm very excited to be our District 5930's promoter. Had lots of promotions for the exciting trip to Honolulu, which of course with COVID-19 precautions was closed. So we were working on a platform like this so everyone can join at the end of June. So save the dates for the last week of June, and we'll be sending out some more information. So so it's coming to your home. You don't have to sit next to me and hear me snore on a plane. Very exciting.
Jay Dean, I can see why you had the camera off. I know that I'm in board meetings every morning that week, the last week in June. So I'd be glad to give you all updates second week in July.
Well, very good. Well, we hope to experience those firsthand. We had some, we already had a district hotel and some district plans on Waikiki Beach. So we are going to have an aloha party here via Zoom. That's as close as we can get to Hawaii. Encouraging everybody. Once again, last week we all wore Hawaiian shirts to Roundtable. So we'll get our pineapples, and we'll have a Hawaii party, an aloha party to say farewell to 2020 and to celebrate in our own way. And then, of course, that'll be a prelude to the virtual conference for RI. So, very good. What else? Anybody else have any questions for Suzie? Now's your chance.
Hey, Suzie, I have a question for you regarding the international projects like Guerrero. As we look to plan things like that, we worry about bringing things to the people we're trying to help, as well as bringing stuff back to the people here. Have the directors or anybody at RI talked about how to handle some of those risks, or whether to proceed with projects such as that? Or
what I see right now is a focus on COVID-19 grants. We raised over $500,000 on the telethon last week to help pursue those grants so that we could meet, I think, another 21 requests for those grants. Beyond that, I don't have an answer for you, Robert. I can't wait to travel again. Right now, we just have to wait and see.
And Suzie, to your point about the grants, I will say that not everybody was at Roundtable, and so you may not know, but we received one of those disaster recovery grants for Parkland, buying them some very needed equipment that will help them not only in COVID, but also be transferable and sustainable through the post-pandemic. We know that there is a post-pandemic, we do know that, but things like a freezer and some very important equipment. And so I had shared earlier at a happy hour that we had first asked for beds, but gratefully, we didn't have the surge that we expected. So we pulled our disaster grant, and through Owen and Paul Gorman's hard work, they worked to find out what the better need was. So we resubmitted, and so we were very honored that we were able to be awarded one of those disaster recovery grants. So thank you for your efforts on the telethon, and I'm sorry that we didn't raise $3 million, but I know that more should be coming, so that'll be great. So, okay. Well, team, I will tell you that I appreciate so much you taking one more night for Rotary, and some of you have already had club meetings this morning at noon, and here you are giving another evening to Rotary. But what a wonderful way for us to kick off our District Conference 2020 and the year of vision by being able to see each other, right? So thank you so much, Suzie, in your name, for your in your honor, to thank you very much for spending some time with us. We will be purchasing some immunizations for Polio Plus in your name, a small donation. So thank you so much. Your work will continue on. So we are inspired so much by your leadership to date, and we look forward to working together very closely in the future. And gosh, Houston's the place to be, right? With the conference coming up. So we all hope that all of this will be behind us and we can all go full force to Houston and enjoy the convention down there after Taiwan. So, all right. Does anybody have anything for the good of the group? Then with that, I'm going to say I just have a couple of things. I hope to see you in 2 weeks, Wednesday, May the 27th at Installment 2, when we'll hear from our own Chuck Eisman and Darren Collins on hygiene, sanitation, and water wash efforts. It'll be exciting. 7 o'clock, same Zoom channel, same place. You can wear something different, same beverage if you want to. Bring your own snack. So as I said, there's a few advantages. There was no registration fee. There was no passport needed. You didn't have to pack, and you didn't have to worry about what you're going to wear. So there's some advantages to this new world, right? I didn't see anybody in pajamas tonight, though, and I want to thank you for that. So thanks for dressing up for our zone director. So we look forward to working with each of you. I will see you in 2 weeks, if not before. Be sure and check your calendars because we've got lots going on. And all I can tell you is go make tomorrow amazing. Thank you so much. Oh, I want to thank John Mosier, our host, and I want to thank Glenn McCrary for his technical assistance in getting our Rotary stuff up at the very beginning. So thank you all. Have a great week. See you in 2 weeks for this. Installment 2. Good night, Susie.
Good night.
Bye-bye.